And today we are discussing about the tools and techniques, and that is the last one, and total productive maintenance in this model. And what is the total productive maintenance? So TPM, why TPM? TPM is keeping the current plant and equipment at its highest productive level through cooperation of all the areas of the organization. Because total productive maintenance is for every area in the organization, every area in the organization. Then the objective is to create a system in which all the maintenance activities can be planned and not interfere with the production process. So it should not be interfere with the production process. So we need to plan the activities of the maintenance, plan the activity of the maintenance for the all the areas in the organization, but it should not affect on the production process. And TPM brings the maintenance into focus as a necessary and vitally important part of the business. So TPM brings the maintenance into a, because this is also very important. This is also a TPM, total productive maintenance is also a important part of the business. And it is no longer regarded as a non-profit activity. So this TPM is not called as a non-profit activity. It is also contributes indirectly to the profit for the organization. So downtime for maintenance is scheduled as a part of the manufacturing day. Means we need to give the schedule for the downtime as a part of the manufacturing day. And in some cases it is an integral part of the manufacturing process. As the manufacturing process keep going on, during that time only downtime is scheduled. And the goal is to hold the emergency and unscheduled maintenance to a minimum. The TPM goal is, the total productive maintenance goal is to hold the emergency and unscheduled maintenance to a minimum. So here emergency and unscheduled maintenance in the sense, see, sudden breakdown of the machine which is unscheduled. So sometimes the machine may fail, or maybe short circuit. All this called as emergency and unscheduled maintenance. So the goal of the total productive maintenance is to reduce to these emergency and unscheduled maintenance to a minimum. And the TPM is to, why TPM? TPM is to avoid the wastages in quickly changing economic environment. So you need to reduce the wastages and produce the goods without reducing the product quality and reducing the costs, and produce the low batch quantity at the earliest possible time, and goods sent to the customers must be non-defective. The means customer, you should ensure the customer satisfaction. So TPM is generally is applied to reduce the waste, and as well as producing goods without reducing the quality and reducing the cost. All this will be into consideration. All will be taken into consideration. And what actually total productive maintenance? So total, this is the word three. If it can be defined into three words. Total. T stands for total. Total is nothing but all encompassing by maintenance and production individuals working together. So if these who are under the maintenance department and the production department, they should work together as a total. And the productive in the sense of production of goods and services that meet or exceeds the customer's expectation. So through TPM and maintenance is nothing but keeping the equipment and plant in a good condition, or better than the original condition at all times, the times. So this is what in three words how the TPM can be defined. Then the overall goals of TPM. So the goals which are told in the beginning is mainly to reduce the emergency and unscheduled breakdown. So maintaining and improving the equipment capacity. So this can be done maintaining the improving and the equipment capacity, and maintaining the equipment for life, and using support from all the areas of the operation, all the areas in the sense in the from all the department, using the support from all the department of the operation, and encouraging the input from all the employees, because those who are working with the machines, they will be knowing better about the machine, in and out of the machine. So we need to take the inputs from the all the employees who are working on a particular machine, and also using teams for continuous improvements. So there should be a TPM team, total productive maintenance team, which should be consist of operator who is working on the machine, and as well as maintenance technicians. So these two together will form as a team for continuous improvement in the total productive maintenance. And 7 basic steps get an organization started with the TPM. So what are the 7 basic steps? So one is management learns the new philosophy. Management learns the new philosophy. So here, one of the most difficult things for any senior management is to deal with the change. To deal with the change. So it is a TPM is a new philosophy. TPM is a new philosophy. Total productive maintenance is a kind of TPM, total quality management philosophy. Similarly, TPM is also one of the new philosophy. So if you want to implement in organization, so senior management has to deal with this change. So they need to learn about the TPM. They need to learn about the TPM and how it will affect their operations. So these are all senior management has to know about this. And there are many successful examples, of course. There are also many organizations that have tried various techniques to improve the performance, and they have failed, of course. And any TPM is mainly trying to tap into an unused resources. Generally, TPM is trying to tap the unused resources, that is the brain power and the problem solving ability of the ability of the employees of a organization. So it is necessary to allow the people to make the decision, So this approach, that TPM approach, the total productive maintenance approach, is not permissive management, because management is still responsible for the performance of the organization. Many organizations have had the flavor of the month approach to change the management technique, and this approach has led to credibility problems with the employees. And initially, this change, that is the TPM philosophy, require more work by the management. More work by the management. So management learn the new philosophy. Then promoting management promotes the new philosophy. Management promotes the new philosophy. So promoting this philosophy, senior management must spend a significant time in promoting this TPM. So they must sell the ideas and let the employees know what they are totally committed to success. And like TQM, any other change in the organization, there must be a total commitment from the top to bottom. So the top level management is also to be involved in this. And management should lead the way by practicing the new philosophy. So management should lead the way by practicing the new philosophy of total productive maintenance. And organizations that are having difficulties in doing this, to insincere the leadership, one of the best ways is to implement this new philosophy is to start doing this total productive maintenance. In other words, we can say that the management is also a part of this total productive maintenance. So senior management has to take care of this in promoting this new philosophy. And training is funded and developed for everyone in the organization. So training is also, because once you implemented the TPM, teaching the philosophy to the managers at all the levels is also very important. So teaching the philosophy of the total productive maintenance at all the levels, and it begins with the senior management. And work down to first line supervisors. So starting from the senior management and to the first line supervisors. So here we need to teach how it can happen, but we need to teach why it happened also. Senior management must spend the time learning about and understanding of applying this philosophy. And middle management must learn how to deal with the team approach and become familiar with the how a small autonomous work group functions. And first line supervisors need to learn their role in what most likely will be a new environment. Then supervisors who have been used guiding their groups will find this an easy transition. So employees need to learn. Employees need to learn about the various tools used in performing their task as a part of an autonomous work group. So there needs to be some instruction in the areas of jobs that maintenance people do and jobs that production people do. So a great benefit of this total productive maintenance is the cross pollination of ideas between the maintenance technician as well as production operators. So the cross, you can say it is a cross pollination, means they're both together that the maintenance technician as well as the production operators come together and they have to solve this work as a autonomous work group, And the fourth step is uh, areas of needed improvement are identified. So the areas of needed improvement are identified. So how to identify this? There are there are some missions. There are some missions which are seem to be on the verge of breaking down. So some of the missions which are on the verge of breaking down. So which are require some excessive amount of maintenance. So these has to be identified. These has to be identified and improved. So employees who work with the equipment on daily basis, they are better able to identify these conditions. Yes, so those are working on the equipment, they are able to identify these conditions than anyone else. So first step is to let the operators and maintenance technicians tell the management which machine and systems need the most attention. So in this, the employees who work with the equipment on daily basis are better able to identify these conditions. And see, in this, one of six major loss areas are identified. The six major loss areas are identified, and which are need to be measured and tracked. So, what are those major loss areas in a particular organization? One is planned downtime losses. Downtime losses. It is nothing but shift changes. So it's a planned downtime loss in the sense when there is a shift change in the particular industry. So there is a some downtime losses will be there. Some because we need to stop the machine and we need allow the other person who is coming in the next shift. So there is a shift change is a one kind of downtime loss, and breaks like coffee breaks, lunch breaks is also one kind of downtime loss. This is a planned downtime loss because we are only scheduled that this is a lunch time and this is a break for the coffee or tea. So these are all called planned downtime losses. And planned maintenance shutdowns also. We need to periodically we need to keep maintaining the machines and all. So for periodic maintenance, we'll be having in a schedule. So so and so date, so and so month, we'll be having a maintenance. So for that, we need to shut down the production. So that is also one kind of planned downtime losses. So unplanned downtime losses. Unplanned downtime losses in the sense which is not scheduled, which is occurred, like breakdowns, lack of materials. Sometimes we may not having the materials, and changeovers, equipment sudden breakdown or short circuit of the machine. So these are all will be comes under the unplanned downtime losses. And reduce the idling and minor stoppages. Sometimes we need to keep the machine in idle, and as well as sometimes we need to stop for a while. So these are all called reduced speed losses. These are called slowdowns. Slowdowns of the machine is called as reduced speed losses. And two more areas which is called as come under the poor quality losses. That is the process non-conformities. The other one is scrap. So these two come under the poor quality losses. So here these losses can be quantified. These losses can be quantified into a three matrix, and can be summarized into one equipment effectiveness matrix. So these three metrics we are going to, these are all these losses can be quantified into three metrics, and it can be summarized into only one metric, which is called as equipment effectiveness or overall equipment effectiveness. Overall equipment effectiveness is a single metric by considering into three losses, these losses. And what is that equipment effectiveness metric? Our overall equipment effectiveness metric. So it is measured. It is measured as the product of availability, performance efficiency, and rate of quality products. So these are the three metrics is taken into consideration, and we have taken only one equipment effectiveness metric. So it is measured as the product of all these three metrics. So A into E into R. So equipment effectiveness or overall equipment effectiveness can be calculated by using A into E into R. A stands for availability and E is the performance efficiency and R is the rate of quality products. So how these three metrics are measured? So availability is measured by using the equation availability is equal to T by P into 100. What this T stands for? The operating time. T stands for operating time. Operating time is nothing but what is the planned operating time and how much is the downtime is there. So subtracting the downtime from the operating time, we are going to get the uh, uh, planned, T are going to get from the planned operating time. If you subtract the downtime, then we are going to get the operating time. So operating time divided by planned operating time. Operating time divided by planned operating time will use the availability. Will use the availability of the machine or equipment. So performance efficiency. Performance efficiency is one of the metrics which is used in this calculating the effectiveness of equipment. And here this performance efficiency is calculated by using the equation C into N by T into 100. C into N by T into 100. So C is, talks about the theoretical cycle time. Talks about the theoretical cycle time, and N is the processed amount. Amount in the sense it is a number of units produced, and T is the operating time. So by using this equation, I can calculate the performance efficiency, which is equal to C into N by T into 100. So C is talks about the theoretical cycle time, and N is the process, how many quantity, the quantity of the number of items which are produced, and the T talks about the operating time. So the total operating time is nothing but it is a planned operating time minus downtime. Similarly, one more metric, that is rate of quality products. Which are going to be measured by using the equation, that is R equal to N minus Q by N. Into 100. So what is this N? N says that number of quantity which you have produced, out of which how many are defectives, that you have to find out. So total number of items which are produced, the Q says that the number of items which are defective, so subtract that item, then N minus Q, so then upon N minus Q upon N, so which gives the rate of quality products. So if you subtract the defective items, then we'll get the number of quality products over the number of products which you have produced. So N minus Q by N into 100 will give the rate of quality products. So after finding all these values, we are going to calculate the equipment effectiveness as A into E into R. So these are the three values of the this can be quantified. Means that these losses can be quantified by using this equation, that is equipment effectiveness. All the downtime loss, the major loss areas which are can be quantified into three metrics, then into single metric called as equipment effectiveness. Then what are the benefits? What are the direct benefits of the TPM? Of course, before that, we are in the 7 steps. In the areas of needed improvement, is nothing but how you can take the improvement. Which are the loss areas are there? Then how you are going to improve the this effectiveness of the equipment. And the next step is performance goals are formulated. So how these performance goals are going to be formulated? So goals should be set. Goals should be set after the improvement needs are identified. So you have identified the improvement need, I mean the loss areas. After identifying these loss areas, you need to set the goal. You need to set the goal for the improvement. So a goal is to establish the time frame for fixing the first prioritized problem. So you need to establish the time frame. You need to establish the time frame in the in this step, in the fifth step. In the fifth step, you need to establish the time frame for fixing the first prioritized problem. So technicians and as well as operators will probably want it done faster than the management, because they want to work on the machine, so they want try to fix this very early. So it causes them more problems on a daily basis. So identifying needs and setting goals begins the process of getting the organization to work together as a team, to work together as a team. So now, performance goals are, I mean, once you identify that is the time frame is made, then implementation plan is developed, and implementation plan is developed. So developing this implementation plan is develop and implement an overall plan of action for training all employees. An implementation plan is developed, and plans for developing the autonomous work groups should take place during the training phase itself, because in the third step itself only the plans for developing the autonomous work group is done, and the plan to use the teams of maintenance technicians and operators to work on particular problems. So priorities can be set, and management can make a commitment with a resource to correct some of the basic problems. But using these team approach will set the stage for the development of autonomous work groups. And this point, the employee should have input into how these autonomous teams are structured. So part of the planning process should take into consideration that autonomous work groups will change over time. As process and procedures are improved, the structure of the whole organization will changes. So it would be unreasonable to not expect the autonomous work groups to changing also. So this in implementation plan, the autonomous work groups going to be formed. So how these autonomous work groups in the seventh step, autonomous work groups are established. So autonomous work groups are established based on the natural flow of activity, means how the activity or a process or operation is carried out. So first, the make the operator is responsible for that particular equipment and the level of maintenance that he is capable of performing. So we need to make the operator is responsible for the equipment and the level of maintenance that he is going to be capable of performing. Next is identify the maintenance personnel. Once you identify the operator, next is identify the maintenance personnel who work in certain areas or have certain skill levels or certain skill levels. And operators and maintenance personnel are brought together. Operators and as well as maintenance personnel brought together to work, I mean, which is called as autonomous work groups, which results in autonomous work group. So these groups must have the authority. These autonomous work groups must have the authority in taking the decisions, in making the decision about the equipment, about keeping the equipment in a running order. So if they want to, I mean, the autonomous work group should have a authority in making the decisions. And the structure of these autonomous work groups will vary with the different applications and types of industries also. And the team approach, employee involvement provides, and this employee involvement provides the necessary information to determine the structure. Maintenance technician are also consultant to the operating personnel, because they both will be work together in order to keep the equipment in a running order. And they train the operators. The technicians train the operators in how to do certain small tasks, and such as oiling, minor troubleshooting and setups and all those. So the operator can do these kind of small issues rather than by the technician. And the overall goal of this autonomous work group is to reduce the occasions of our maintenance activity. So a side benefit is freeing up highly skilled maintenance technician from the more routine task. So skilled technicians are utilized more effectively in doing the major overhauls or major breakdowns are there and assisting with the troubleshooting problems. So that is how the autonomous work group is established. These are the 7 steps in organization which is started toward the total productive maintenance. Then what are the direct benefits of TPM? What are the direct benefits of total productive maintenance? So it is increased productivity and overall plant efficiency. So the TPM increases the productivity and as well as overall plant efficiency by 1.5 or 2 times. Then which this total productive maintenance rectify the customer compliance as well, and it reduces the manufacturing cost by 30%. The total productive maintenance, if you implement in a particular organization, it reduces the manufacturing cost by 30% because of the goals of TPM, that is total productive maintenance, which is mentioned in the beginning. See, if you look at the TPM is used to reduce the cost. It is reduce the cost and produce the goods without reducing the quality, so that we can improve the productivity. You can improve the productivity and reduce the cost. So these are the TPM goal which you have mentioned. So the direct benefit is reduce the manufacturing cost by 30%, and customer satisfaction. And the customer satisfaction should be, achieving the customer satisfaction to the 100%, that is delivering the right quantity at the right time in the required quality. So by doing this we can achieve the 100% customer satisfaction. So this is one of the benefits of TPM. And also it reduces the accidents. So if you keep maintaining this equipment, then we can reduce the accidents as well. And follow the pollution control measures. So the TPM follows the pollution control measures. If you have a total productive maintenance, so we can follow the pollution control measures also. So these are the benefits, direct benefits, and indirect benefits of TPM, indirect benefits of total productive maintenance. So higher the confidence level among the employees, and keep the workplace clean, neat, and attractive. So when the maintenance come into the picture, then we can have a cleanliness as well as neatness and attractive of the equipment can be maintained. So keep the workplace, the total productive maintenance keep the workplace very clean, neat, and attractive. And third one is favorable change in the attitude of the operators, because when you maintain a working environment very clean and neat and attractive, then the attitude of the operators will be changed. So favorable change in the attitude of the operators, and achieve the goals by working as a team. So the total productive maintenance team is nothing but which constitute by the operator and as well as the maintenance technicians. So when you work together, we can achieve the goals. So achieve the goals by working as a team, and horizontal deployment of new concept in all the areas of the organization, and sharing the knowledge and experience. So it is nothing but the sharing of the operators knowledge on the equipment with the technicians, so that it's a kind of sharing the knowledge and experience, which is the benefits of TPM. And the workers get a feeling of owning the machine. Means as he is working on the particular machine which is very clean and neat and attractive, then the worker which is working and is a feeling that he's having his own machine and then he's operating it. He's having his own machine and operating. So we are creating the belongingness of the particular work by implementing the total productive maintenance. So these are the indirect benefits of TPM, that is a higher confidence level, keep the workplace clean, and favorable change in the attitude, achieve the goals by working as a team, and the horizontal deployment of new concepts, and sharing the knowledge and experience, and the workers get a feeling of owning the mission. So then, what are the steps in introducing the TPM in a particular organization? So first one is preparatory stage. We can call it as when I am trying to implement the TPM in a particular organization, I should be prepared enough. I should be prepared enough. So how this preparatory stage concept? This preparatory stage is nothing but the announcement of this TPM implementation by the management to all the employees in the organization. To all the employees in the organization. So proper understanding, the commitment and active involvement of the top level management is very much required in this step. Very much required in this step. Because the senior management should have the awareness programs after which the announcement is made to all. So publish it in the house magazines and put it in the notice boards, send a letter to all the employees or individuals if required about the implementation of TPM in a organization. And initial education and propaganda for the TPM is to be given to all the employees. That is by training is to be done. By training is to be done, and then based on the need, some need is intensive training and some just is an awareness. So for a required intensive training, like that, like the operator which is who is working on a particular machine, and take people who matters to places where the TPM is already successfully implemented. And step 3 is setting up the TPM and departmental committees. Setting up the TPM and as well as departmental committees. So TPM includes the improvement, autonomous maintenance, quality maintenance, etc. as part of it. So when committees are set up, they should take care of the all the needs. And step 4 says that establishing the TPM working system and target. So now each area is benchmarked and fix up the target for achievement. So here the target is nothing but, say for example, as we told this equipment effectiveness should be set target of 85%. Target of 85%. So likewise establishing the TPM working system and as well as targets. Step 5 is a master plan for institutionalizing. So next step is implementation is leading to the institutionalizing, wherein the TPM becomes an organizational culture. So achieving this team award for the proof of reaching a satisfactory level. And step B. So stage B, we can call it as stage B. Stage B is introduction stage. So first stage is preparatory stage. Second one is introduction stage. Third one is implementation stage, and then institutionalizing stage. So in the introduction stage, there is a ceremony. And we should invite everyone in while introducing the TPM. So suppliers, as they should know why we want quality supply from them. So supplier also should be invited because they need to supply the raw material of good quality. So and stage C is implementation stage. In this stage, 8 activities are carried out, which are called 8 pillars in the development of TPM activity. Here in this stage, 8 activities are carried out, which are called 8 pillars in the development of TPM activity. That we'll discuss in the next slide. And of these, 4 activities are for establishing the system for production efficiency, and one for the initial control system of new products and equipments, and one for the improving the efficiency of administration and or for control safety, sanitation as working environment. So providing the safety and clean working environment. And the stage D is institutionalizing the TPM. By all these activities, one would has reached the maturity stage. By doing all this, we can reach the maturity stage, that is institutionalizing the stage. So we discussed about the pillars of this 8 pillars of the TPM. 8 pillars is nothing but starting from first pillar is going to be 5S. 5S, which I have already discussed about this 5S. And autonomous maintenance, then Kovetsu Kaizen system, we can call it as Kaizen system, planned maintenance, and the 5th one is quality maintenance, 6th one training, then office total productive maintenance, and finally safety, health, and environment. So these are the 8 activities. So in the which we discussed in the implementation stage, that is first 4. First 4 is nothing but 5S and autonomous maintenance, Kaizen system, planned maintenance. These four, we can call of these four activities are for establishing the system for production efficiency. Production efficiency. And one for the initial control system of new products, equipment, that is quality maintenance, and one for the improving the efficiency of administration, one for the improving of the efficiency of the administration, that is for office TPM for improving the efficiency of the administration. We can have the office total productive maintenance, and one more is for control of safety, sanitation as working environment, and safety, health, and environment. These are the 8 pillars of total productive maintenance. So with this,